Well, hello, everybody, and thanks for tuning in to my live feed tonight. I am very excited. This is my normal Monday night show at 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time that I've been doing over the last few months. And I would like to introduce my friend Elias Patras here on the line. And we're going to get to know him over the next half hour, 40 minutes, as long as he's willing to stay on the line during that time frame. And we're going to be chatting about tapping into our inner divinity or our divinity. And so we're going to be talking about that and maybe talking about a lot of the things that are going on lately and maybe some suggestions he might have for helping us cope through a lot of the craziness that's going on in the world. Elias, thank you so much for coming to the show. How are you tonight?
I'm doing excellent. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah, well, you're welcome, and I'm excited to have you. And so let's talk a little bit about you and your work. I know we got to know each other about a year ago because of the Spirit Heart cruise, and then, of course, that didn't happen. Well, actually, that was happening in a month, and we had to cancel that. But I've definitely got to know you over the last year. And can you talk a little bit about your work and what you do and, you know, for the audience and stuff? So,
sure. I am an author, a psychic medium, an empowerment coach, motivational speaker, and a retreat and workshop facilitator. I have also taught massage for 8 years. I was a massage therapist for 17 years. And I just love what I do. I love seeing shifts in people. I love seeing the aha moments, especially as an empowerment coach. And I know that, you know, you do life coaching, and it's just been, it's just a reward to see people burst out of their shells. So I'm very honored to do this work.
Yeah, it really is a cool thing when you help somebody and then you see them just blossom. And, you know, and you really honestly, and you look back, you're like, I didn't do a whole lot, but I just encouraged you to get, you know, find your own answers and empowered you to do that. So let's talk about our divinity and stuff like that. And, you know, what we're talking about right now in the world, I was kind of what inspired this is that I was sitting here thinking about how a lot of people are feeling disempowered. Mm-hmm. And, you know, there's just a whole lot going on. And even if they've studied to know that we have our own divinity and our own inner divinity, there's a part of them that's still feeling very hopeless right now. And what are some things that you've been doing or what you're doing for yourself and teaching your clients of, you know, to kind of get out of that or change that?
It all started when all this started. I wanted to know what would be my part. What could I do to just share something, to do something, even if it was a little something to do for the better good, right? So what I decided to do was do a global meditation. I started going out and sharing 7:30 Central, 8:30 Eastern every day for like the first month, I think it was, or 2 months. And I did this meditation, and we would just sit there and meditate and talk about how we're all connected. Even though we're now quarantined and we're all stopped for a while, how do we still connect? All one heart, all one joy, focusing on the peace, focusing on calmness, focusing on hope, focus on healing, and focusing on true connection. I mean, really, connection, all the different kinds of connections we have. And I found that people really enjoyed it. I got so much out of it. I was like, well, I'm going to do this for others. But then I found I'm like, this really opens my eyes, allows me to stand in gratitude, allows me to stand in a place of positivity, and allows me to be aware, but not to buy into the fear. I mean, I'm very aware of everything that's going on, but I am going to keep on sending out hope. Then I was like, well, boy, I'm getting up every morning a little earlier, like an hour earlier before I normally do, to tap in with myself first and then to get a meditation for everyone else. Maybe we'll just do once a week. And we did once a week for a month. And I have to tell you, Jeremy, I missed it. I missed doing it. And then one of the followers said to me, hey, you know, I don't always get to watch you. I have to watch the replay. Would you ever consider doing an evening meditation? So now on Wednesdays and Sundays, I do an evening meditation. I do that half week point, and then I also do a meditation at night on Sundays to say, let's be thankful for the week and let's start looking into what can we bring up. Now what's coming up for me each time that I do the meditation is there's a theme. The other day was about focus. How do we focus on focusing on things that are around us? How do we listen? Today's theme was choices, I think it was. I don't know. Every day I meditate and I get one word and then I just go with it. Nothing's ever written down. It's whatever comes through.
That's really, really cool, because I was thinking about when you do it, because I've led some of those online meditations myself. And do you ever feel the energy from all the people that are watching you? I mean, like literally I did one with a group, and there was probably about 4,000 people on this meditation. And I just felt my heart just got so overwhelmed with joy. And that's what we were focused on. I was on 11/11 that we did it. And I just thought that was like one of the coolest things in the world. And so it's healing for us too. And totally. So I just want to do some shout outs for Priscilla. Hello. I think it's Bogdan. Hello. And Mikey from Chicago. Hello. Thanks for any support. There's a hashtag Team Elias. I didn't know that was a thing. So you even got your own hashtag, Elias. What's going on?
Wow, that's great. That's awesome. I see them now. I can see it. Before I was like, what? What is that? Okay, thanks, guys. Thank you for coming aboard and watching. And you guys, do a watch party. Have everybody come on over. So, and there's Elizabeth. Thank you, Elizabeth, for watching. I appreciate it. I think, it's important. These guided meditations, honestly, Jeremy, they have taken me to a place where the one time I got so riled up, I got so into, I was like, oh my God, put me on a pulpit. Because I was like, and we have to know what to do. And and I was like, and you all have to believe. Do you not believe? And I was like, where is this coming from? Where is it coming from? And after that meditation, I sat down and I bawled like a baby. It was so moving. It was all the emotions coming through. It was a place of, was during the riots. And I just like, can we just have calm? Can we do this? Can we spread the peace? We've got so many things that we're working on, people. This is just about being kind to one another.
Yeah, and when you think about what do they do that study with the Maharaji effect, and where when we join together and our energy, they've proven that we can change what's going on. And so one of the things that during that time frame, it's interesting you bring that up. I was thought about, peace, truth, love, compassion, and those things when they come out, truth, compassion, peace. Those are big things, and that's what we're really needing in our justice too. There is justice that we need. And so when we ask for all those things and we focus in on them, we see shifts, and they've proven that. And so that's kind of when we're talking about our divinity, we're talking about how powerful we are, especially when we come together. So I think that's an empowered state. And what do they say? Is you were talking about getting fired up. What do they say? Preachers on pulpits talk about the power of prayer, and it works.
Right. It does work. And noticing, this is what I tell people. It's like, even though I was raised very strict Greek Orthodox, it is about finding that divine source, that divine light within. Even in the meditations, I tell people, turn on your heart light, turn on that beacon of light, even in the darkness. If we all lit up, we could find our way. And even when someone is dark, in a dark place, and they saw all these lights light up, they can just, and this does, I'm listening to myself talk. I'm like, why don't I just tell people hold hands and sing Kumbaya? I mean, it's that, honestly, truly, it is. I mean, it's so simple. It's so simple.
You know what I was thinking about when you mentioned that? Do you remember Hands Across America in like 1980?
Yes. Of course I do. Yeah, of course.
I think I was 12 at the time, but you know, it's like one of those things where I still wanted to do it, and my mom wouldn't drive me there, and I was not very happy with her. But you know,
I just gave you the Greek eyebrow, Jeremy. You were 12 in 1986. I was a lot older than 12.
We talked about that about a month ago, and because I thought you and I are about the same age, so
Nope.
I'll remember where they were. Hank, I'll have a few jokes when I come up to your area and have drinks and stuff like that.
Yes.
To answer your question, Priscilla, I am a quantum healer, and my mother was a Mayan shaman, and I apprenticed with her. So I don't refer to myself as a Mayan shaman just because I don't know. I just don't. But I was trained in the healing and energy healing from her. And then my friend Virginia Drake, so I've been teaching that, and I'm also a life coach, and I call myself the storytelling alchemist because I teach people how to change their inner story so they can alchemize their thoughts, body, mind, and soul. So that's kind of the work that I do, and I do, you know, coaching and healing around that. So,
and the great thing is you're going to be on my show on August 15th, so we'll turn the tables a little bit, which is great.
Yeah, and then. Oh, did you see that? Elias is, yes, he is a silver fox.
Yes, thank you.
So I just kind of want to point something out real quick that Elias and I are sponsoring a online conference in October, on October 9th, starting October 9th and going till October 12th. And that link is in the description of the show. And I'm going to show that as well. It's called Reawaken Your Soul. And so you can purchase the tickets on Eventbrite, and we're going to have, I believe, about 20 speakers. They're going to be coming on and talking about healing and empowerment and stuff like that. And I think the timing is going to be just right around October. And so, yeah, so just kind of, we were excited about announcing that tonight. So
I'm excited for it. It's going to be really good, and we've got a good lineup. So
yeah, I'm super stoked. And so it's so anyways, that the way to sign up for that is in the link in the description, and I'm just going to share real quick because I feel like that is what I should do this moment. So I'm just going to pull this out, and I'm going to show it just because it's easier to show it than.
I kind of almost want to go like this.
There you go. You want to go like this?
Like there you go. There you go.
All right. Can everybody see that? I just want to make sure. Maybe you can't. Yeah, you can. So, all right. So it's just Reawaken Your Soul. And like I said, the Eventbrite link is in the show description below. And there's going to be 2.5 days of speakers. And we have 20 speakers. And so we'll have more information about that as it comes out. But I know Elias he's basically got the lineup. He's done an amazing job. And so definitely go ahead and sign up. And it's going to be an amazing time. So, let me just remove that so that we don't show us our multiple images there.
Yes.
So, but other than that, you know, I'm pretty excited about having that come out. But I also like what we mentioned earlier. We were talking about, you know, in our divinity,
right.
And I think that right now, like anything we can do to help people come together, like you're doing with your meditations, which I think is amazing, is getting into our consciousness, right? And Priscilla, thank you so much for sharing that. And so getting into our consciousness and overcoming all these blocks. And I think that, and I just want to kind of get your thoughts on this, 2020 has been about pushing our buttons, so to speak, to get us to look at our limitations. And I mean, I just had an experience about a month ago, and my mother had transitioned in 2012. And so, and I thought, you know, I'm fine. I believe in reincarnation and all that kind of stuff. I can hear her and talk to her and all that kind of stuff. But when I was in there doing some deep work, I heard the 7-year-old version of myself crying, saying, "Why did mommy leave me?" Mm-hmm. And so, I mean, I got deep in there, and, you know, I'm a 46-year-old man. So, but the little boy in me was still sad because I lost my mother and I felt a little lost without her. And so when I cleared that, I was like, wow, all this inspiration came through. And I think that 2020 has been about that, pushing our buttons.
Pushing our buttons and allowing us to go deeper within. I think it's so important that we're so focused on you know, this and not connecting. And I think it's almost like we got the universe gave us a personal timeout, and we had to go within to figure out what makes us tick, what makes us connect to the divine. How do we do it? How do we connect to the divine within? How do we connect to the people in our home? Do we actually listen to them, or do we talk over them, or do we talk, even better yet, talk through them?
Mm-hmm.
And that's just like blah, 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 you know, and they'll sit in the back and you're still talking. I think this has shifted our consciousness about how and why we need to connect on a deeper level. I think so many people are learning about being vulnerable and knowing that vulnerability is truly a strength. It's not a weakness. It is truly, truly a strength. And to get those types of feelings, thoughts, you know, of, oh, you know, maybe I will journal, or maybe I'm not going to get on my cell phone. I'm actually going to sit outside for 20 minutes and be grateful that I'm sitting outside, because so many of us were stuck inside and we couldn't. And now we're being grateful for this kind of connection. Instead of maybe texting, maybe people are actually picking up the phone and saying, how are you today? I've been thinking about you. I miss you. And I think when we talk about tapping into our divinity, it's like, what do all the good gurus, all the big gurus do? And what is it all about? And I go back to the same thing. It all goes back to love. You can find all the motivational speakers, all the spiritual teachers. The main thing here is, how do we love ourselves? How do we connect to self? And through that, how do we connect to the divine?
You know, it's something funny you should mention that, because I went on this kick after my mother had passed away on studying the near-death experience phenomenon. And I had a few friends that had near-death experiences. And then I went on and because I had what is called a shared death experience with my mother. And so I was just so overwhelmed with love that you mentioned. And when you've experienced heaven on that realm, there is no pain, there is no suffering, there is no anxiety. The pain and physical anxiety and tension in your body is gone. And you are just in pure joy. And so I remember very specifically when this happened, my mother had said, this is what heaven feels like. And so then I went on this mission to study it even more. And the consistent theme about heaven beyond is pure bliss. And so, and through after they go through their life review and all that other kind of stuff, when they get cleansed of all that, it's pure bliss and love. So then here, what are we practicing to do? We're practicing to get more in alignment, or the Christians would say more Christ-like, or more Buddha-like, or whatever. And so it's right along the lines of what you're talking about, love, understanding. But I don't think we have a concept of what love is. We think of the Eros love, you know, the Cupid love, and not the actual agape love or the connection love. So, and I think that's really kind of what do you feel? That's kind of like what we're missing. I think that people really don't fully understand what that is unless you've experienced it.
When I was at Celebrate Your Life at the retreat in November, the one that I got to speak at, which was so cool, I got to listen to Anita Marjani, and she talks about her whole story about her experience, you know, being in stage 4 cancer and actually dying, and then coming back and talking about, you know, what it's all about and the negative stuff that we hold on to. And she chooses to do things differently now. She chooses not to allow judgment, not to allow so many different things influence her. And she learns so much from that. She's obviously written books, and she's been part of Celebrate Your Life. And Wayne Dyer actually heard her story and found her, and, you know, brought her up through the ranks. But a fascinating woman. And also my mother, my mom died in 2000, and I started getting into this work about 98. And I think that this work saved me from a nervous breakdown. I lost my mom in 2000 and I lost my dad in 2001, and I'm an only child. So it's been interesting. And you talk about death experiences. Now, I studied Peruvian shamanism, so I did a 2-year program in Peruvian studies, and we actually do a death and rebirth ceremony, which we will actually write a eulogy, and we lay on the ground, and they cover us with a blanket, and somebody reads the eulogy. It's really deep. I mean, so many things come up in that time, and I was laying there going, is that all I wrote? Is that what my life is all about? Is that, there's so much more. And at the latter part of that ceremony, they take the blanket off and welcome us back. It's a beautiful death rite ceremony, death and rebirth ceremony. So this work constantly fascinates me.
We're going to be talking because, Spirit World Travel and Spirit Heart Cruise, one of my goals is to take a group of people to Machu Picchu, and I just happen to need somebody that studies Peruvian shamanism to go with me, and that's one of the last things I was looking for. And my friend Angela is an archaeologist, so she was going to take us on the archaeological side of it. So yeah, very cool. Isn't that amazing how everything just kind of ties together and syncs together when we're kind of going through these experiences? And that's kind of like what I was chatting about earlier, 2020 vision. All these things are happening exactly for a reason and syncing us up. And I really feel that people are waking up. I mean, there's some amazing people that I thought would never wake up. The things that they're posting on Facebook and on social media, I'm like, wow, that's really cool. And the other cool part is I remember because I started about 97, 98 studying in this world. And I remember using a pendulum in front of my friend, and they were like looking at me like I was nuts. And then when I talked about being an empath, everybody was like, "What the heck is that?" And they're like, "You've been watching a little too much Star Trek: The Next Generation." And so, but now it is a very common thing for people to talk about, talk about being an empath. I have people I'm a corporate trainer during the day. And I have people talk about, I'm an empath, and so that's the reason why I can't do that. I'm like, where were you 20 some odd years ago? But it's because people are waking up. So
I did a 5-day, is it 5-day? 4-day? 5-day or 4-day? I don't remember. I went to Omaha, Nebraska. There's a beautiful hospice company called Endless Journey. And the owner's name is Melanie. And we were talking, and I said, we met at a wedding, actually. And I told her what I did, and she said, would you come and talk to the hospice workers? And I said, I actually have a program that I do that's called Empowering the Empath. So we did a great 4-day journey. Each day had a specific feel to it. It was so much fun. And then I broke out that piece into a 3-part series for people online, or people that when we did do face-to-face work, we did that. So I love people empowering themselves, and that's why the empowerment coach just fits so well. The funny thing is, Jeremy, I was so excited about doing life coaching and intuitive work and combining it. I'm like, what could that be called? What could that be? Empowerment coach. That's great. And I was so excited about it. I was so excited about, like, I wonder if I can get this trademark. There can't be any other empowerment coaches, because I don't think they have that. So then when I looked it up, I'm like, yeah, kind of a little late to the game there. There's been empowerment coaches all over the place. I'm like, I thought I coined a phrase. Yeah, it was funny. It was funny.
I mean, I had to hire somebody, and they came up with a storytelling alchemist.
That's a great one. That's a great one, though. That's really good.
And so she just said, within 5 seconds, too, by the way, she just, not really 5 seconds, she did a 30-minute interview with me, and she was like, storytelling alchemist, that's what we're doing. I'm like, how come it's taken me like years? And but that's what they do. That's what they do. That's their whole thing. So I don't know if
yes.
everybody sees, I just put Elias's website here on the video so you guys can see it. It's also in the comments or in the description below. So definitely go and check out his website too. Do our little plug here in here because, you know, we want to make sure that we help support his work. So let's talk about, you know, I'm really fascinated with, you know, when we're talking about healing work and getting into divinity, you know, there's so many ways of doing it. You know, you mentioned you studied in the Peruvian ways, and, you know, I've studied the Mayan and that stuff like that. What I had a friend that used to say, there's many paths up the mountain, but there's only one look down. And so
I like that. I like that a lot. Because I always say there's many paths all going to the same home.
Yeah.
I like that though, a mountain. That's good.
And I think what happens is that we get caught up, like you'll hear my story, or somebody will hear your story, and they'll be like, well, I never had that experience. And I remember those days back in when I started, you know, in the 90s. I remember I had a teacher named Reika, and I would sit in her class, and she'd have like 30, 40 people sitting in this classroom on a Tuesday night. And I'd hear people say things like they'd be having these experiences, but they weren't my experience. And I'm like, but I don't have that. And my little insecurity in myself, you know, my 25-year-old self was like, well, I guess I don't have any gifts. And I think that is the one part that's part of self-awareness and healing, to say, stop that.
Right.
That is not true. We just all have a different way of looking at things and a different way to experience things. And I'm not sure how you came up through that path, because I'm sure you had insecurities coming up your journey. So
it's been about, okay, so I'm 55 now, and I would say at the age of 46 is when I stopped most of my Greek guilt, and I stopped a lot of the self-judgment. And at this time in my life, I've really learned to just say, it is what it is. I mean, I'm not going to worry. If someone likes me, great, thank you, come on the journey. If someone doesn't, thank you, and your journey is over there. That's great. I'm understanding what it is to say that, you know, again, I'm just being who I am. I'm just being guided for what this is all about. When I lost my dad, my ex and I were on a cruise ship, and the ship was slowly leaving the port and whatever. And I so wanted it to be like the Love Boat, where they're like 100 people down there all waving goodbye and have a great time. I'm like, there were 3 people going like this. Like, really? Really?
I'm not gonna lie to you, I was disappointed too the first time I went on a cruise, and I was like, where's all the people waving?
Right.
Nobody cares.
So we're on there, and the phone rings, and I purposely went on the cruise. I booked the cruise the day after my mom's birthday. So it was July 14th was my mom's birthday. So we booked the cruise July 15th. And that's when my dad died, on July 15th. And I didn't know. I mean, it's not like you can say, hi, can you turn the ship around? And my best friend was on the phone, and she's like, look, you know what you know spiritually. Not many people visited your dad. He was 92. He lived a good life. A, he's not going anywhere. B, it is important to just have the time to be with yourself and grieve, because I still was grieving my mom, and I didn't, you know, and here we go now, being an only child and having both of them gone. So that night, it was about 2:00 in the morning. My ex was fast asleep, and I went upstairs to the highest, I like to call it, to where, you know, the Titanic part, where King of the World part of the ship. And I looked up and I said, look, you have my mom and you have my dad. Whatever gifts you want to give me or help me through, I promise to do a great job. I promise to make all of you up there happy. Just guide me and guide me to where I need to be. And I was 35. And at 35, I still didn't know it. I started learning things. And like I said, I learned more 46 is when I learned, like, I don't give a damn. You know, it was that part where it's like, you know, well, you know, if you don't like me, great, that's okay. And I learned to just be, you know, it's on my website. It's all about connection, educate, and grow. And I really wanted to have people understand that I want them to reconnect to their true authentic self. That's my big purpose. And I think we do this through the divine. We have to do it through the divine. And we have to have, whether you shake a rattle, beat a drum. You know, the other day I smudged my house old school. I went ahead and got the charcoal thing. I got frankincense. I got my mom's. I don't know if you can see it up there. You probably can't. That's mom and dad right there. Their wedding picture. But there's a big, it's about this big. It's brass with a big Greek cross on it. I opened that up, stuck the frankincense resin on, and, you know, went through the house and smudged the house with frankincense. It was such a purifying spiritual movement. And I think for me, you know, that spirituality piece, there's a difference between being spiritual, connected to divine, and religion connecting to the divine. That spiritual piece, those things that you can't put a finger on, you can't explain it, is what I mean. You can't go, I'm looking at the priest and it looks like there's like these vapors coming off of his head. I don't know what the hell that is, but I was in 6th grade going, it must be really hot up there, because I'm watching like those vapors that you see when the road is really hot, especially in Florida, when the sun's beating down and you're on the road and you see these vapors going up.
That never happens in Florida ever.
Never. So cool.
It's like literally 30 degrees outside right now.
Yes, sure. Never. It's never that cold.
Well, it is for like one day in January. But it's not.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
That's when I should probably. That's probably when I should fly down. Yeah, I should fly down that day. But it has really taught me that we all can connect in whatever way we need to, whether it's writing down. That's why when I teach talking to your angels, how to be able to do that. There's all these different ways to tap into our divine within and divine above. Yeah. It's all around us.
Isn't it incredible? I mean, that's one of the things that I get so excited about talking, is about when we're talking about spirit and how it literally is plotting. The universe is plotting to do us good. And I find that just extraordinary. And I just got overwhelmed with tears, like, in joy. I mean, I know you've had this experience. Like, you're sitting there focused and like things on the surface seem like they're not going well at all. And then all of a sudden you just go into your meditation, you're praying, and then next thing you know, very fast, things just start moving in the right direction because you took the time to ask.
Right. Right. And people don't think they deserve it. Isn't that funny? I find that in this work that people don't think that they're worthy of it, deserve it, or are they being selfish? And that's something that we really have to, you know, really teach people about. Let's look at the cup half full or more, and let's put that oxygen mask and give it to ourselves, so then we're able to share that with other people. And thank you, Priscilla, for putting all that stuff on there. And Yvonne, happy to learn so much about you. Thank you, Yvonne. Thank you. So nice to see my peeps on here. Thank you, guys.
Well, you know what I was going to throw out there too? Like, we're talking about people don't believe that they deserve. I think this is kind of cool when you think about this. Like you mentioned, I had healed a lot of my Greek guilt at like a certain age. And I had a friend years ago, I was asking him what the difference between an Episcopalian and a Catholic was. And he said, it's basically the same as Catholicism with half the guilt. And I just laughed. But the point I'm trying to get at is we've been indoctrinated with guilt. And I was doing a healing session with a girl probably like 6 years ago. And I mentioned her, I said, you know, you deserve the best of everything. And you are a child of God, which means that you are beautiful. And she says, no, I'm just a sinner. And I'm like, and I remember those days because I was raised in a church very similar to that. And interesting enough, I found out I actually, even growing up and understanding metaphysics and the study of spirituality, and I was good like 15 years into that. And then I found out the head of my church that I still hero worshiped, he'd passed away in the 80s, on a certain level. I found out that he was not a nice man at all. So, and then here this man that was in my mind, still this person I looked up to, they're men and women, and they make mistakes. And so we have to how we eliminate this, our guilt. And I'm sure you agree, is that we look within and we find our truth. And then the guilt starts to fall away. And then we finally realize we deserve. So, yeah.
And I think, it's when it's embedded in you. I was talking about this with my god brother, so my parents' godson, and I say, this is so much in our culture, and it's in our lineage, it's in our blueprint, that we get this familial type of, oh, you lied yesterday, that's why you got the flat tire, because God punished you. And I was like, oh my God, I'm horrible. I remember, I kid you not, I remember being in Greek school. And in Greek school, well, this is probably before your time, Jeremy, but back in my day, when the desks were deep and they were slanted and you put your books inside the little desk. So I went to go reach for my eraser because my eraser and the pencil wasn't right. So I reached in the desk, I pulled out, and when I pulled out, the book opened and fell on the floor. Well, Mrs. Calisparis.
You remember her name?
Mrs. Calisparis was like, what are you doing? And I said, I went to get an eraser. The book is open. I go, yes, the book's open. It fell on the floor. I want you to go up to the Virgin Mary, and I want you to say that you are not lying and you did not cheat. So wow. There I was in front of the whole class, like now crying because I obviously upset Mrs. Calisparis. And then she had some sort of connection to the Virgin Mary that I had to go up to the icon that's in front of the class and say out loud. And then she made me say it in Greek too. So I had to say it in English and in Greek I'm sorry, I'm not lying. And then I had to say it in Greek. And then she looked at me and she goes, now go back to your chair. You have an F on the test.
You have the accent down perfectly. I mean, I'm
Thank you.
Really impressed. So I shouldn't take you to Tarpon Springs if you come down to visit. It's entirely.
You know what? I love Tarpon. I love Tarpon Springs. We used to go all the time, and we always had. My mom was so funny. She's like, "We're not going to have sea bass here," and I'm like, "We're not? I love sea bass." She said, "No, we're going to have," and I just drew a blank. What's the fish that's so popular that just tastes like sea bass? Oh my God. Anyway, my mom's like, you could have this. It is the poor man's sea bass. It tastes just the same.
Well, when you come down, I'll take you there, and I'll take you to my favorite place in the whole area because I live about 10 minutes from there.
Okay.
My favorite place in the whole area is called the Shrine of St. Michael. And it's the Greek Orthodox Church wouldn't recognize it until maybe 10 years ago as an Orthodox church. But it was, this is actually a cool story because I want to throw this out there to everybody listening. If you come to Florida, go to Tarpon Springs, go to the Shrine of St. Michael. People have been known to walk onto this property that were blind and came out seeing.
Yes.
And so why it's so powerful is that a grouper, that's what it is.
Thank you, grouper. I love grouper.
And so what ended up happening is when this lady, I believe her son had polio. So she prayed to St. Michael and said, if you heal my son, I will build a shrine in your name. And this is back like 30s and 40s and that time, way before mine and yours time, And so And so he healed her, or her son was healed. So she built this shrine to Saint Michael, and it's powerful. So anytime I need to get in balance, I go there and I meditate and I pray. And so
I think we did go because, so you may not know about this, but my parents were older. They were born 1909 and 1919. So yeah, so they were, like I said, 46 and 56 when they adopted me. But I love Tarpon Springs, and Cheryl is actually from Florida. So thanks, Cheryl. What is it? Bogdan says, can Elias tell us how he connects with the divinity before reading or before teaching?
Oh, okay, yeah, that's a really good question. Yeah.
So I do a prayer. I actually say a prayer. There's a prayer that I say every single time before I do a reading, and there's a prayer every time I say before I teach, and I also give thanks and gratitude. And I actually include my parents in the prayer. I always tell them, I'm like, thank you so much for all that you have done and all that you have helped me with and continue to help me with. And then I call in archangels. It all depends on, you know, how many are in the class, or how difficult the client is. I'm like, and I'm calling on Archangel Michael, Archangel Gabriel, Archangel Raphael, Archangel Ariel, and Uriel, and let's go ahead and bring in Raziel and Archangel Jophiel. You know, I'll just add them on as we go.
You're like, bring in the Angel Mafia. I need some help.
Yeah, Angel Mafia. I like that a lot. I like that a lot. Yeah, yeah. And then I say thank you. And I always say, you know, may I continue to do this work for the highest good of all.
Very, very cool. Yeah, there's so much. We could probably sit here and talk for a while, but I'm sure we're going to be doing more stuff together, especially since we have an event coming up in September. And then I'm going to be on your show, I think the 15th. Is it the 15th of August?
August 15th, we have an event. October, yes?
Our event is October 9th through the 12th. It starts Friday night, the 9th.
Yes.
And of course, the link is in the description, and also Priscilla put it in the comments as well. So for those of you that are on my Facebook page and YouTube, it's in the description, and on my other pages it's in the description. So, but you know, so I just wanted to throw that out there. Thanks to everybody. Elias, any last minute words of wisdom for everybody before we jump off tonight?
Don't be afraid to ask for what you need from the divine. I think that's the biggest thing that I can say to everybody. You know, it's ask for what you need and believe that it's coming. Because if you ask and believe and trust and really feel it, then it is. I mean, they're up there wanting to co-create with us, wanting to have us. They don't want us to fail. They want us to do the best that we can do. We get in the way. So get ourselves out of the way and just ask for what you need.
Very cool. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. It's been very much, I can feel your energy. You guys are very much a blessing, everybody listening and watching. And so we will, just so everybody knows, I'm back on Wednesday at 9 o'clock. I'll be doing my soul readings for consciousness. And, you know, peace out, everybody, and have an amazing evening. Thank you.